we have here is an Acer Aspire 1 AO532h that used to belong to a client. You have seen this very same machine before. It used to belong to one of my clients, but he recently upgraded to an HP Pavilion that I have seen run, and believe me, it runs a lot better than this one did. But that isn't to say that the performance of this machine, the performance of this machine is a subpar. Because, actually, this is one of the best netbooks I've seen in a long time. At least when you compare it to some of the modern creations. It's got everything you'd expect to see in a netbook. I'm going to try and keep the surface as clean as possible. It has an SD card slot that you can just see. That's a blank, actually. That's the SD card slot blank. That comes with the machine for protecting the SD card slot during transportation. At least I believe that's what it's for. The headphone in, the microphone in. And I did get those right. A USB port, a USB 2.0 port, the Kensington lock, and an Ethernet port. And this thing is light enough that I can do this without fearing that I'm going to drop it. The AC power adapter, the VGA port, and two more USB ports. There is no optical drive on this thing whatsoever. No DVD drive, no CDRW, no CDR, no CD anything. It is just as you see it. So if you want to use an optical drive, you have to either get an external one, or you have to use one off the network. Now, I am planning to keep this machine. I was originally planning to sell it, but it depends on what happens. I mean, it's really scratch. It's not collector grade at all. It's too new to be useful as a collector's item. Of course, you can see the camera in the reflection. Hi. And so there you go. When you open it up, you see everything that you'd expect to see in an ordinary netbook. You have a slightly smaller size keyboard than what you'd see on a full-size machine. The touchpad is an absolute piece of junk. Believe me, I have tried to use it and I have failed. I can't use this thing at all. At least the button is actually relatively good, but the trackpad, yeah, I don't like it at all. And I also am not a fan of these glossy palm rests because they fingerprint really easily. But of course, I'm not a Acer. I have no idea what was going through their head when they made that. Keyboard is doesn't have very much tactile feel to it. I mean, I can't touch type at all, but a touch typer might be able to touch type with this. It still has a textured finish to it. It still has all the normal keys that you'd expect, except for the home, the end, the page up, and the page down keys, which are instead separate function keys that you can use by hitting function and the key of your choice. Speaking of function keys, at the top you have the wireless on-off switch, that's the software, the Bluetooth on-off switch, the sleep switch, I believe that's a monitor adjustment switch, or maybe that's a monitor adjustment switch. I don't know what those two do, but I suppose we'll figure it out when we power the machine up. Oh, that's a touchpad disable switch, and that is a mute button. And then you have your number lock, your scroll lock, and that's pretty much it in terms of function keys. Keyboard doesn't really show very much signs of wear. There is no glazing that I can see on the space bar. The only keys that are really glazed or are really showing the signs of it are, well, none of them really. It's in pretty good shape. I would expect that it would have a lot more glazing for how much it was used, but apparently not. The power button has been shattered by the original owner. I still don't know how he did that. It has an Intel Atom, I believe it's an N450, something like that, running at 1-point-something gigahertz, probably a 1.8. Has Windows 7 Starter installed, a 160 gigabyte Western Digital SATA hard drive, and a gigabyte of memory. Now what really gets me, and again, this is normal for netbooks, but it only has one memory slot, which was a real shame when I went to go install memory, because I don't have any extra 2 gigabyte modules lying around. I only have 1 gigabyte modules. So yeah, that was a real shame. You know, this machine does run, it runs quite well. Oh yeah. It also has a webcam there that the software doesn't like to take videos with. I don't even think the software is designed to take videos with it. I'm not a fan of these glossy screens because they let you see too much of the ugly guy running the camera. You know, another reason why I don't like glossy stuff is it reflects off and it makes these weird bar things in the camera, but that's obviously just me. Alright, let's power it up. fact, we're going to go into setup. It is a 1.66 gigahertz model, and it is an N450. The hard drive is a WD1600 BEVT. It is running BIOS version 1.21. The VGA BIOS is an Intel V1818, so it's got an Intel chipset in it. And it's got 1024 megabytes of memory, which is a gigabyte. And there is 8 megabytes of video memory, so that's changing the boot. The Atheros boot agent. I don't know, I thought this thing would have... I thought the, only the, wireless card was Atheros. I didn't think the, Ethernet BIOS was Atheros as well. Spin up the hard drive. Looks like Vista, it's actually 7 starter. You can see that there are weak spots in this screen, while you would be able to see if the screen was on at the moment. Yeah, you can see that there's a weak spot right there. Well, at least on the camera, there's a weak spot right through the middle of the screen. I don't know why it does that, but every glossy screen I have seen is like that. Actually, you know what? I think that might be just the camera. And I have to go get my USB mouse, so hold on just a second. Alright, there we go. Let's see what we have here. We have a Windows 7 starter with Service Pack 1. We have an AO532h, it's working perfectly. 2.4 WEI rating, an Intel N450, running at 1.66 gigahertz, a gigabyte of memory, 32-bit OS. What is the drive size? It is indeed a 160. In fact, I may end up rebuilding it again. There's not much installed. In fact, there is nothing installed. I did get rid of everything. I'm not going to be uninstalling any of the software that this thing has. Install that because that's a definition update for my antivirus program. And surprisingly, the Action Center hasn't come up and complained because I don't have backup set up.